Hey guys, how's it going? So today I am going to do another in-depth review, and today I am going to do the in-depth review on a game called Monster Hunter World. Now, Monster Hunter World has been around for like over a year, but that was on consoles, so it used to be only a console exclusive game on like Xbox One and PlayStation 4 and all of that, but a few months ago Capcom released the game on PC. So today I am going to check it out on PC. So this is a PC only review. Now, first off, I want to say that the game doesn't run so good. I am running this game on the same PC which I have been doing my reviews for games like Witcher 3 and Shadow of the Tomb Raider, which are pretty new games, especially Shadow of the Tomb Raider. And if you go look at my Shadow of the Tomb Raider game, you will see that I have it on quite high graphics, like the graphics quality is very high, but the game runs very smoothly. But for some reason Monster Hunter World on my PC struggles to stay above 60 FPS. So during this video you will be seeing some hitching and lagging. That's simply because the game is not very optimized. It's not optimized very good at all, so there are some memory blockages and what you call funneling, memory funneling, where this game's information that it gives through to your graphics card simply cannot be processed quickly enough due to glitches in the game's code. So some games like Witcher 3 is very well optimized. You can run Witcher 3 on a relatively low spec computer and still have it look very good with 60 FPS. But this game is certainly not one of those games, and I'm not running it at very high quality at all, to be honest. If we have a look here at the display settings and we go to advanced settings, you can see I'm running it on medium. Most of the quality specifications are on medium, so after that there's high, and I even think there's a very high setting. So despite that, the game still looks pretty good on medium. As you can see, obviously YouTube videos very rarely does a game justice due to the rendering of the gameplay footage that was captured, and then you probably compress it a little bit when you upload it, and then YouTube even further compresses it and renders it through all of their different renders. So honestly, the graphics that you are seeing on the YouTube video doesn't do it justice, but the game looks pretty good. But as I said, unfortunately the optimization in the game's code is not very well done at all. And you will often see during this video that the game drops down to like 30 FPS, which isn't really my fault. As I said, the game's optimization is not very good. So this is Monster Hunter World. I have never played any of the previous Monster Hunter games, and apparently there are a bunch of them. So I am really a new layman at the games series, but I started playing the game. I'm about 35 hours into the game, and I have to say that I can certainly see the appeal so far. So before we get into the background of the game and actually start playing the game, I want to show you all of the different weapons in the game, or not all of the different weapons, but certainly a few of the different weapons, since they vastly change the way that you play the game. So what I currently have equipped is a gun lance, and it is essentially a shield that you have with a massive cannon, and the cannon also has a blade on it. So you can do stuff like thrust with the blade. So if a monster comes close to you, you simply thrust it, and you can do side thrusts and stuff like that. And when you have a little bit of extra time, like maybe once you have stunned the monster, you can then do a Wyvern Fire Blast, which does a significant amount of damage. But as you can see, it takes a quite long while to charge up. It takes like 5 or so seconds to charge up. So otherwise than that, you can just do a regular shelling like this, which is really quite quick, and then you can dodge out of the way, do another shell, dodge out of the way, and do another shell. So you get the general idea. You basically fight the monster with the blade, and when you get a little bit of chance, you can then do something like a Wyvern Fire, which really takes quite a lot of time, because you have to charge the Wyvern Fire up. So that is the gun blade, and then we go to our box here, and we select another weapon, like let's say the slicers. These are two small blades that you fight with. It is a very quick guerrilla style type of weapon. So you just basically do the regular slicing, like you have a left click attack and then also a right click attack, which does like stabbing and slicing. It's like left click is slicing, right click is stabbing. And then you can also enter a demon mode, which allows you to attack even quicker with even more combos in your lineup, your attack lineup. So that's basically the slicers. So then we quickly run back to the box, and then I will show you another weapon. Let's take, for instance, the Chain Blitz. This is like a crossbow type thing, and you can basically quickly shoot various different types of attack like that, and then you dodge out of the way, attack further, dodge out of the way, and attack further. And you can also place a Wyvern Blast, which is like a mine almost, and then the boss will walk over it, or the beast will walk over it, and then you can just continue attacking. There's not really a whole bunch of different methods of attack with this particular weapon. It's essentially just like a machine gun in the form of a crossbow. And then we quickly go select another weapon. The weapon that I actually mainly play the game with, even though I have tried different various weapons, is the bow. I've just found that the bow really is the best playstyle for me. So the bow's playstyle involves you running around and dodging most attacks with the use of the dodge, which you do by pressing space. And then when you are ready to attack, you can place shots like this. So like you can do quick shots like this, you can do dodge attacks, which you do basically while you are attacking. You then just press space, then you go into like a dodge attack, like a charging sidestep and stuff like that. And in addition to that, you can do a triple shot like this, which allows you to shoot 3 arrows at once, which is really quite powerful, but it has a very short range. So instead of shooting 1 arrow like this, you can shoot 3 arrows, but you have to be very close to the monster like this basically. Then all of the 3 shots will hit. And in addition to that, you can do one of these, which takes a long time to charge up, but it pierces, so it pierces through the entire monster, and it damages them quite a bit. So usually you will try to knock down the monster before attempting one of these, since it takes like 4 or 5 seconds before you can successfully use that technique. And then in addition to that, there is one of these, which basically throws down like metal balls on top of the target, which is really quite useful. It doesn't do a lot of damage, but it's really quite useful at breaking pieces of the monster. Stuff like armor and horns and teeth and stuff like that is really quite easily destroyed with this shot. And then in addition to that, you just basically shoot 1 arrow, and then you shoot 2 arrows, and then you can shoot 3 arrows on your final shot. So it's 1 arrow, 2 arrows, 3 arrows. But you have to do it in that succession. You can't constantly shoot like 3 arrows and 3 arrows and stuff like that. You have to shoot 1, 2, 3 like that. So that's basically all that I want to show you with the different weapons. There really are a bunch of different weapons, but honestly, if I show you all of the different weapons, then this video is going to be too long. So there's the Buster Sword, Iron Katana, Hunter's Knife, which is essentially just the shield and the short sword. Then there's the matched slicers. There's the Iron Hammer, Proto-Commissioner Axe, which is an axe and a shield. There's the axe on its own, where you basically use both hands on the axe. Then there's the Iron Gun Lance, which I showed you. The Iron Lance, Metal Bagpipes, Iron Blade, Chain Blitz, which I showed you. Iron Assault, Iron Bow, which I showed you. And then there is a Insect Glaive, which is really quite an interesting weapon also. But as I said, I'm going to be showing you the bow, because that's the thing that I play with the most. There are also different videos which you can see here at the bottom, but that just gives you like a short little breakdown of what the combat style involves with the different weapons. But I found it better to show you the actual weapons instead of just playing you the little video. So that is it for the different weapons. I just basically wanted to show you a bunch of the different weapons so that you can see that there is really quite a very large amount of different ways and variations to progress through the game, and a bunch of different play styles. So if you don't like the bow or ranged combat, then you can always try one of the melee weapons. There's only like 3 ranged weapons and like 15 melee weapons, so the melee weapons are really quite more plentiful. The gameplay is really quite biased towards melee weapons, but I mean, that's not really too bad. As I said, the 3 ranged weapons are really quite fair. They offer a wide variety of ranged options. I would like a massive cannon. That would have been pretty cool, to literally be walking around with a massive cannon, but I guess that's fine. So this is the starting area. It's like the area where you get all of your weapons made, because you can craft different weapons. You can buy materials, you can add additional quests and investigations and monster hunts to your quest book, and this is where you pick up your main quests, or mainly your main quests. There are also a bunch of different optional quests, investigations, events and special assignments, but this is basically where you pick up your main quests. So without talking your ear off, because there's a bunch of more stuff that I can talk about in this base, I first want to show you a little bit of gameplay. So let us go out on a monster hunt, and then we can talk a little bit more about the game once we are actually out in the world. So let me just find a good quest that we can do, which won't give you guys any spoilers, and then I will rejoin you guys in just a second. But before we do that, we are just quickly going to eat some food in order to give us a little bit of a stat boost, and there's a quite cool little cutscene that plays when you are making food, so I will quickly show that to you guys. It's quite a cool cutscene. Okay, so this is one of the many maps. I will attempt to show you all of the maps in the game, since the biodiversity of the game is really quite impressive. There's a bunch of different maps, and the different maps are really quite interesting in their own way. There's like a forest map, which with a bunch of herbivore monsters. And then there's like a rotten vale, where there's like a bunch of poisonous monsters. Then there's the wild spire with a bunch of desert monsters. And then there's the coral highlands with a bunch of flying monsters. So right now I am in the rotten vale, the place with all of the poisonous monsters. And we are just going to hunt one of the monsters, one of the bigger ones in this area. I don't see it on my map right now, but I am certain that we will be able to find it. So first thing that we do is we go to our supply box, check if there's anything in there, but there isn't. And then we go to our little camp quickly, just to make sure that we have enough potions and all of that. So, by the way, this is my main character, obviously. And this little thing over here is a palico. So, I don't know why he is called a palico, but basically he is a cat which helps you on your journey and with all of your quests. So, I know that probably doesn't make a lot of sense, but a lot of Japanese games add just random cats into anything that they possibly can. I don't know, they just have an infatuation with cats. So they added cats to a bunch of different aspects of the game. So that is your palico, and he just basically helps you to kill monsters. He can die, like not die, but he can certainly faint in battle, during battle, and then you just have to wait for him to be resurrected or whatever. He resurrects himself basically, but he is really quite tough. I've given him very good gear, so he basically a lot of the time just draws fire away from me. He doesn't do a lot of damage, but he does draw fire away from me, which is really quite helpful. So basically the main thing that the palico does is he helps you by drawing a little bit of the attention away from you, since otherwise the monster would just be constantly attacking you, and you wouldn't get a lot of chance to find different openings and use some of the more powerful, oh there he is, to use some of the more powerful attacks. So we are going straight into attacking this guy. Unfortunately he hit me there, but it's not the end of the world. And we will be fighting the Radoban. So I'm going to stay quiet for a little while, just so that you guys can see me fighting this Radoban. It is essentially a lizard coated with bones. So as you can see, as you fight the monster, or this monster in particular, you are shooting some of his bones off of him, since those bones actually make him more powerful, since instead of being hit with just a normal tail, you are being hit with a scaly tail filled with bones, or covered with bones. So as you fight various monsters, there are various weak points which you can expose on them, and you do that by shooting the armor off of them, or simply by exploiting various weak points. Like some monsters, their heads are very exposed, and with other monsters their tails are their weak points, and yeah, you get the general idea. Okay, so he's running around, and now he is going to get all of his bones back. He does that by rolling around in the bone pit. So now he is once again quite armored, and he won't be taking as much damage as previously until I remove all of his bones again. Oh, that's another thing that the Palico does. He actually heals you quite a bit. So that's another way that he is quite useful. Okay, so now he's running away. Monsters always do that. They run away once they are damaged past like a third of their health. That's one thing that I don't really mind, because I mean it basically forces you, and it is definitely a game mechanic whereby it forces you to not fight in one particular area. So the monster, once he has reached 1/3 of his HP and then 2/3 of his HP, he moves to a next area. It just basically keeps things different, and every battle, like, it's not stagnant. It keeps every battle interesting, since he can move to different areas throughout the map. He doesn't always move to the same areas repeatedly, which is pretty cool. So now he's going to roll around in the bone pit again to get all of his bones back. Well, I don't know how he was able to hit me there, because I was standing behind him and he was rolling forward. So I think that may have been a glitch or something. Basically, you just have to avoid him while he is doing that rolling, and then after that you can pound away at him. And he's a little bit tired. He's probably going to be running away in just a minute or so. So as you can see, there's quite a few unique ways. Okay, so he's dead. There's quite a few unique ways that you can take advantages of various monsters. For instance, the Radoban isn't very stable. It's not a very stable monster, so you can actually destabilize it by attacking it from the side. And if you attack it enough from the side, then you basically knock it over off of its feet. So it's a really quite cool mechanic in the game, that there are various different ways to take advantage of different disadvantages that different monsters have. Like some flying enemies, if you attack their wings enough, then you literally rip holes in their wings. And with the Radoban, if you attack him enough from the side, quickly enough, because it basically depends on burst damage, so if you do enough burst damage from the side, then he gets knocked over onto his other side and he can't stand up for like 10 seconds or whatever. It's usually around 10 seconds that he is knocked over. And you get different lizard monsters where if you cut off their tail, then they are basically very easy to defeat, because the majority of their fighting moves comes from their tails. They use their tails for most of their fighting moves. So yeah, it's really quite cool. And it's one of the best aspects of the game, just the different ways that you can actually defeat your enemy. You can just continuously shoot him in the face, but that's not really a viable tactic with a bunch of the different monsters, especially those that breathe fire, since you get a bunch of fire breathing monsters. Oh, here's another one already. So he respawned quite quickly. So I'm not in the mood to fight him again, since I already showed you the fight that I wanted to show you. So we will just be quickly moving out of there by doing a little bit of sliding, and then I think we can go to the next zone. I just basically wanted to show you at least one fight, one good fight, and I wanted to explain to you a little bit about the basically the way how you kill monsters, you know. As I said, some monsters breathe fire, so in the majority of games it's obviously good to shoot stuff in the face, since the face is where, like in a lot of games they say face is the place, but in Monster Hunter World, face is not the place. Often tail is the place, or shoulder blades is the place, or even sides is the place, as it is with the Radoban. So I think I have to climb up here, simply because you can allow your players to do a bunch of different interesting fighting styles by making the weakness on each and every monster a different place. So that's essentially what the Monster Hunter World devs have done. They make almost each and every monster unique by putting the weakness on different places. So this is the rewards that I get for killing the Radoban. Like break Radoban's back, then you get a Wyvern Bowmass, and for breaking Radoban's hind leg you get another Wyvern Bone Mass, and for breaking Radoban's head you get Radoban Marrow, and for hunting the Radoban you get those 3 different stuff. So if you didn't exploit any of the weak points of the Radoban, then you would only be getting this, the 3 hunt Radoban rewards. But because I did a bunch of different exploits and weak points on him, I get 4, well actually 5 extra materials to use, and I will show you a little bit later how to use those different materials, because you basically use it to upgrade your weapons and to get new armor and stuff like that. So we will, I think, go to the base again. Yes, return from expedition. So we will go back to the base, and then I will quickly show you the upgrading mechanics and all of that with the different armor and weapons and all of that, and after that we will quickly jump into another map just so that I can show you the different biodiversity that Monster Hunter World has to offer. So as I said, this is the main base. This is the hub where you get all of your new quests from, and it's also where you get new equipment from and where you eat and all of that. So these are the lifts. We will go to the workshop, and in the workshop you can craft new weapons for yourself or upgrade your weapons. So this is the Master Crafter, and you can upgrade any of your items. Like if you just have this chainmail vest, there's then a bunch of different upgrades which you can do to it in order to increase the level of the vest. So at the moment the vest gives 2 defense, but if you upgrade it all the way it will give 16 defense. So that's if you upgrade it by 7 levels. And you can do the same with your weapons also, by putting in a bunch of different materials into the weapons. So you can make an Iron Katana 1 into an Iron Katana 2 by simply adding 2 iron ore. So let's go ahead and do that, and now you can see the Iron Katana looks a little bit different. The Iron Katana 2 into an Iron Katana 3, or you can make it into a First Dance, which is like a special blade. It doesn't do a huge amount of additional damage. As you can see there at the top right, the Iron Katana 3 does 300 attack, and the First Dance also does 300 attack. It's just that the Iron Dance allows you to explore a bunch of different upgrading trees, basically. So if you go into the Iron Katana route, then you will be able to make an Iron Grace or an Unknown Sword, which I haven't unlocked yet. And if you go into the First Dance, then you will be able to make a First Dance 2, or you will be able to make a Wyvern Leaf Blade, and after that you can do a bunch of other unknown swords also. So those will become known to me once I get the monster materials that are required for it, since otherwise you don't know what to craft the weapon out of. So once you get the monster materials, then you can actually see what materials that particular weapon requires. So my bow I have upgraded from the Hunter Bow. I've made it a Hunter Bow 2, and then from there I made it a Blooming Arc, and from there I made it a Blazing Bow, and my next step is to make it a Blazing Bow 2. So you can basically see how I have upgraded my bow, the weapon that I use the most. You can also upgrade it into a Pulsar, which does lightning damage, or a Dragon Bone, which does dragon damage, since dragon damage is actually a thing in the game. You get fire damage, lightning damage, water damage, poison damage, and dragon damage. I think those are the 5 different elements. So you can see that there's really a whole bunch of different ways that you can upgrade your weapons, and each of the weapons, like swords and the gunnons and the bagpipes and the bow and all of the different weapons, have different trees, like upgrading trees. So no one weapon will be the same as another weapon in the game. Now this is one thing that I really don't like about the game. That's the fact that the game essentially puts you into a loop of certain mechanics. So if you enjoy these mechanics, then yeah, that's fine. That's absolutely fine, and you wouldn't really have a problem with this. But the game puts you into a loop of getting a quest. So you pick up a quest from here, and I will show you how you pick up quests. You go to the quest board, and you get a new quest. And if you look at the main quests, this is how it looks basically. At the very beginning, they want you to kill a Jagras. So you kill the Jagras. After that, you have to do like a story quest, and then after that you have to kill a great Jagras. After that you have to kill a Kulu Yaku. After that a Puke Puke, and then it's a story quest and another story quest. After that you have to kill a Tobi Kodachi, and then a Anatatha or a Anatha, whatever. And then it's another story quest, and you have to kill a Polomu after that, and a Rodoban after that. So the game just goes on and on and on like this. They give you a few story quests in between, and then with each new mission you have to go kill another monster with each new mission. So Great Jagras, Kulu Yaku, Puke Puke, Tobi Kodachi, Anatha, and all of that. It just goes on and on and on and on. And this is currently at level 4, so HR level 4. And the game goes up to like HR level 500. So you can see that basically each and every time they're just going to give you a new quest to go kill a different monster. And that monster will drop new materials, a new tier of materials. So if we look at the forge equipment, then it becomes really quite evident what the core game loop is. So you start out with these armors, and then after your first quest you can use the Jagras scale from the very first quest, as I explained, to create Jagras armor. After that you get a miscellaneous type of armor, which you get from just looting stuff in the environment. Then you get a Vespoid armor. You get that from killing Vespoids. Then you get Calydon armor. You get that from killing Calydon. You get a Gaiju armor. You get that from killing Gaiju. Then you get Jagras armor, which you get from killing Great Jagras. And sometimes you have to kill the monsters 3 or 4 or 5 times in order to get enough materials to craft the different armor. As you can see, I have killed many Great Jagrases, since the Great Jagras only drops 3 materials on average, only 3. So if you are lucky, then the Great Jagras will drop the mane, the scales and the hide, and then you have to go kill him once more in order to get scales, or just normal Jagras scales. Then you can craft one of these items. So that means if you want to craft the entire set, then you probably have to be killing 4 or 5 or 6 Jagras or Great Jagras just in order to get this one armor set. So you see that you have to do quite a bit of grinding in order to get an entire set of armor. And honestly, if you want to go kill 4 or 5 Great Jagras, that's probably going to take you about 3 hours. That's probably how long it's going to take, since killing a Great Jagras, as I said, once you get the monster down to a third of its HP, it moves to the next area, and then if you get it down another third, it will move to another area. And this whole process takes about 10 minutes if you're very quick, but usually around 20 minutes to kill a single monster. So if you want to kill 5 monsters, then at the very least it's gonna take you about 2 hours to get the entire set of this armor. So after the Great Jagras, as I showed you in the quests, comes the Kulu Yaku. After that it's just a miscellaneous armor set. Then comes the Puke Puke. Then comes Baroth. Then comes the Gyratodas. It's like a water kind of an enemy, which I also have a quest for. Then comes the Tobi Kodachi. and then comes the okay, those are just miscellaneous stuff which you just get by mining mining the ore in the zone. Then comes the Shamos, then comes a Hornatar, and then the Anatath, and then Rathian, and then the Poluma, and then the Radoban. So the Radoban is where I am at currently. If I want to craft another Radoban item, I have to go kill another Radoban, at least one other Radoban. Because as you see right now, my Radoban armor that I can create one of these, but then I have to go get another sleeping sack and another Radoban shell. So I then have to go kill another Radoban, as we just did. And that whole process took about 20 minutes, obviously, as you can see by the length of the fight in the video. It took about 20 minutes. So if you want to craft the entire set, it's going to take you at least 2 hours of farming to get this complete set. And what is going to happen next is you're just going to get another quest, and you're going to unlock a new monster, and that new monster is going to drop materials for a completely new set of armor. And then once you have that set of armor, you will then get a new set of armor, and so on and so forth. There are a disgusting amount of armor sets. 175 armor sets are currently available in the game, and I definitely think that the developers will be adding more armor sets to the game once a significant amount of the player base actually reaches that level, the 175 tier of the different armors. So currently I have unlocked, like, I don't know, maybe 20, 25, and there's still 150 of these different armor sets that I have to unlock. And as I said, the game just essentially puts you in a continuous loop of getting a quest for a new monster, killing that new monster, getting the new materials from the new monster, then coming back here, crafting a new armor set, because you constantly have to be crafting armor and upgrading your equipment in order to stay alive, because the damage that the monsters do just goes up higher and higher and higher. So you have to be constantly getting new armor, otherwise you won't be able to kill the new monster that the game throws at you. So you have to come back here, craft the new armor from the new monster, and then you have to go out and get a new quest, which will give you a new monster to go kill, and you will get new materials from that new monster, and you come back here and you craft new armor, and it goes on and on like that for 175 cycles. And as I said, that's just currently in the game. The game is still relatively new on PC, and I think the game developers will definitely be adding more sets to the game once they see that people are stopping playing the game because they have now unlocked the highest tier, the 175th tier of armor in the game. And I mean, if you're okay with the game developers putting you in a near infinite loop like that, which will require a lot of hours, I mean like probably 300 or so at least hours of gameplay in order to reach the top tiers of the game. If you're okay with playing the game for 300 plus hours with the same core game mechanics loop, then yeah, I guess I'm not fine with that, but I guess if you're fine with that, then that's cool. Then the game will certainly be enjoyable to you. But I just really realized that the game is putting you into an infinite loop or a near infinite loop by constantly sending you out to get new materials from a new monster on a new quest in order to craft new armor. And they do that 175 times, which it really just bores me to death to be going out killing a new monster. Sure, they will be able to keep most of the monsters new and fresh, I could say, by constantly changing the look of the monsters. I mean, just look at Pokemon. There are like, whatever, 800 different Pokemon, and each of them look different. So I can totally be, I can totally expect the developers of this game to be able to invent at least 175 different looking monsters, since Nintendo have accomplished it with over 800 different monsters. So now we will quickly just be heading to the camp. I want to show you all of the different zones which I currently have unlocked, just so that you can basically see how the different biodiversity in the game looks. It's really quite beautiful. So this is the forest zone. Unfortunately, it is night currently, but since the game does have day and night cycles, but you can get the general idea of how the game looks. It's like a forest. This is the most open piece of the map, and it's a forest with a bunch of herbivores roaming around, and then there are like 2 or 3 different types of carnivores on the map also. And obviously the carnivores are the big boys of the area, and they routinely attack the herbivores. That's another thing which I actually like about the game. The bosses, like the Great Jagras and all of those different bosses, and the Radoban and all of that, if they encounter one another, they will actually fight one another. So that's really something that I quite like about the game, the fact that it is really quite a unique system on its own, and that even without your intervention at all, random things will happen, like bosses attacking one another, and then you can actually take advantage of that by attacking one of the particular bosses while they fight, and he will obviously then have his hands full fighting the other monster. But that can often turn against you, as I have experienced, because once I thought that I was going to be able to take advantage of the fact that one monster was attacking another monster, and I attacked them, and both of them turned against me. So then, instead of just having to worry about fighting one monster, 2 of them were actually attacking me. And I did manage to run away, but it's really quite cool that you can actually be turned on like that by both of the different monsters, because they will decide that you are the prime target instead of attacking each other. So this is another zone. Obviously I just showed you the forest zone. This is like a desert zone, which is really quite desolate and barren, and it has a bunch of very armored guys on it. Like, as you can see, these are the herbivores. They don't really mind you too much. They won't attack you out of their own, but there is one particularly big armored creature walking around here that is really quite powerful. He's almost like the Radoban. He's very armored and he's pretty slow, but if you then you do not feel good after that. So this is the desert zone. I will quickly also show you the Coral Highlands, and then after that I will bring the video to a conclusion by giving you my final thoughts. So this is the Coral Highlands, and it is essentially an underwater place without any water. There's coral everywhere, there's jellyfish flying through the air, There's birds very high up, even though you never encounter those. You can't fight them or anything like that. And this place is filled with a bunch of different flying animals. Most of the bosses in here are flying bosses. So there are also still a few herbivores, but this is by far the most colorful zone in the game that I've encountered so far. Obviously there will probably be more zones throughout the game. As I said, there will be around 175 different monsters in the game, and I've currently unlocked like maybe 15 or 20 of them. And yeah, you will basically go to a new zone. That new zone will have a few new monsters on it, and you will then kill them, loot them, create new armor, and rinse and repeat. The game just goes on and on like that. And yeah, honestly, that is one of the biggest problems that I have with the game. It's not that I don't enjoy the game. I do enjoy the game. I just really don't like having to do the same thing over and over and over. It's really quite boring. I'm a guy who doesn't get bored very easily. I can easily play like 5 hours of a game like Anno or Tropico or anything like that, you know, like a really slow fucking base builder game, and I wouldn't get bored. But honestly, going out every now and then, killing a new monster simply to create new armor and upgrade your weapons a little bit, that's something that really bores me. And around the 20-hour mark in this game, I found myself just being bored with constantly going out and killing new monsters and just being put into the same gameplay loop. So yeah, that's pretty much what I think about the core gameplay loop. There are 2 pretty big issues that I have with the game, which are glitches as far as I am concerned in the game. The first one is whereby once you have killed a monster in a quest, because you get expedition kills, like I'm on an expedition right now, and then you get quest kills. So if I were to kill a monster right now, then I wouldn't be I wouldn't go out of the game. They wouldn't force me out of the game. If I kill a boss monster right now, as I killed the Radoban earlier. But if you are in a quest, then and you kill your main quest monster, then you are pulled out of the map after 50 seconds. So as soon as you kill the monster that you were sent to the map to kill, and it's a map just like this, exactly the same as this, then you are pulled out of the map 50 seconds later. There's actually a very powerful flying monster around here. I wonder where he is. Oh, he's actually coming from that side, so I have to run away. So once you kill the monster, you are pulled out of the map 50 seconds later. It has happened with me that I get pulled out of the map within 50 seconds and I don't have enough time to even loot the monster that I just killed. So you spend like whatever 20 minutes, sometimes 30 minutes attacking this monster and killing the monster, and then they only give you 50 seconds in order to loot everything that is on the map. And that's really quite ridiculous, to be honest. Oh, these guys are actually bad guys, let's fight them. So it's really quite strange for me. I don't know why they chose to pull you out of the map after 50 seconds. It really doesn't make a lot of sense to me. Because, I mean, the game should allow you to leave the game when you choose. Because, I mean, why would they want to make the game difficult for you? Why would they want to make life difficult for you by just pulling you out once you have killed a particular monster? and that's one thing that really irritates me. I have attacked the monster, I have killed the monster, and now I want to loot him and maybe walk around a little bit, loot other stuff that may be lying on the ground. But no, this game does not allow you to do that, since they pull you out after 50 seconds once you have killed the particular monster that you were searching for. That's the first issue that I have with the game. The second issue that I have with the game is the fact that corpses disappear. There's not another thing in any game that I hate more than when your corpse disappears, or a corpse disappears, like loot or anything like that disappears. If you just kill the monster and you are punished by the game for not immediately looting the kill that you just got, that really irritates me, and I really don't see why developers put that into the game, because in this game corpses often disappear after as little as 15 seconds. So if you kill the monster and you don't loot it within as little as 15 seconds, then the corpse just disappears. And that also happens to boss monsters. So even like that Radoban that I killed previously, if you kill it and you don't loot it within as little as 15 seconds, it will just disappear. Then you won't get any loot. So you just spent 20 to 30 minutes killing a boss monster, and then it just disappears. So you literally wasted 20 to 30 minutes of your life. And I just really don't know why the game developers make the game like that. Why do they make corpses disappear? It just really doesn't make sense at all. And that has happened to me a bunch of times, where I kill a monster and then I'm fighting another monster, and by the time that I get back to the first monster that I killed, it isn't there anymore. It just completely disappeared along with my loot that I would have gotten from killing the monster. So you spend all of that time killing a monster and then you don't get shit. So that is really the two biggest things that I have issue with this game. And it can be fixed very easily, but unfortunately it probably won't be fixed, seeing as how this game has been out for a couple of months and it's not fixed yet. So clearly the developers of the game have no issue with that being part of the game mechanics. So yeah, it's just something that I really don't like, and unfortunately it's going to make me not recommend this game to you. Unless you enjoy the game, unless you think that you're okay with, as I explained, being put into an infinite gameplay loop for 175 different quests and different monsters, just going out, killing different monsters, crafting new loot, and rinsing and repeating 175 times, then yeah, sure, you can pick up the game if you're okay with that, and if you're okay with your loot disappearing, losing boss monsters that are lying on the ground for a little too long, then yeah, I guess you can pick up the game. But honestly, based on the infinite core game loop and those two issues with it, which I explained, which honestly have wasted hours of my life, because I've spent like 20 minutes killing a boss monster and then it just disappears off the face of the map. Oh, that's another thing, by the way, which I haven't even said yet. If you fight a boss monster, like the Radoban for instance, it will sometimes just randomly choose to leave the map. It will just randomly leave the map with little warning. It warns you like the blah 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 is about to leave the map, and you can't do anything about it. The only thing that you can do about it is to immediately kill the monster. That's literally the only thing that you can do about it. So you will just get a message saying that the Radoban or whatever is about to leave the area, and then like a few minutes after that, like 3-4 minutes after that, the monster that you've been fighting leaves the map. So it has happened to me before where I spend like 15 to 20 minutes fighting a monster, and then it just leaves the map all of a sudden. So I've just wasted 15 to 20 minutes of my life fighting that monster, and it leaves the map and I get no rewards. So that, in addition to the corpses disappearing, and in addition to you just being pulled out of the map randomly when you have killed a boss monster, that really is 3 issues which makes me not be able to recommend this game unless you really enjoy the core gameplay loop that the game puts you in, which honestly I don't. Honestly, after making this video, I'm not going to play the game anymore. I just really played the game to this point so that I can show you a bunch of different monsters and different zones and different armor, different weapons and all of that. Obviously, as always with all of my in-depth game reviews, I don't just play the game a couple of hours, I put in tens of hours into the game in order to... Oh, here's another boss monster. In order to show you a large portion of the content in the game. So yeah, unfortunately my final decision for the game is that I do not recommend the game based on the points that I have highlighted, unless you really think that you are going to have fun killing a bunch of different monsters and crafting armor for 300 hours. So yeah guys, that's pretty much it. Thanks a lot for watching, and I'll see you next time.